A meeting thousands of miles away has far-reaching implications for Grand Bahama.
The Defense Force increases its reach to stopping illegals from entering the country.
And a church tries to expel one of its own. The outcry and the outcome. The Bahamas Tonight, the National Report starts now.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
Big news for the nation's second city, which can turn that economy around. Good evening, everyone. I'm Charisma Robinson.
And I'm Chris Saunders. Thank you so much for joining us. Major investment opportunities set for Grand Bahama with the potential to create hundreds of jobs before Christmas. Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Perry Christie, met privately with officials from Hutchins Whampoa. It's a major investor already in Grand Bahama. Clint Watson tonight tells us that the meeting in London will have significant ramifications in the Bahamas.
Topping the agenda during the high-level meeting between the government and Hutchinson Whampoa here in London is the Grand Bahama Port Authority's expired agreement on certain taxes, which up until now were non-existent to this company. However, Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Perry Christie, says it was cause for concern and discussion.
The government of the Bahamas has to make a decision to either implement or not implement. To not implement means there's a substantial amount of revenue we're giving up. And we are mindful of the fact that companies like Hutchison came into the Bahamas on the basis that they wouldn't be taxed or they wouldn't be taxed heavily.
Hutchinson Whampoa, who's been a major contributor to the economy in Grand Bahama, is hoping to do so again. By the end of the year, a significant economic boost expected to the island.
More likely sometime in October or November, they will begin a $280 to $300 million expansion of the container port. That means hundreds of new jobs, and it means hundreds of new jobs before Christmas. And so, therefore, it is a tremendous shot in the arm for Grand Bahama. We have spoken about this before, but we've now had it confirmed.
And the good news does not end there. MSC, who's also a part owner of Hutchinson Whampoa with cargo and cruise ships, are also looking to expand. They're ready to make a substantial investment in the Bahamas.
And MSC has indicated that it wants to and will, in fact, have a new destination in the Bahamas that they'll spend anywhere between $100 and $200 million. The figures have not come in yet in developing it. Even a small hotel on the island that they're getting for leasing purposes, and that they are going to start an academy in Grand Bahama that will train young people to work on their cargo ships and to work on their cruise ships. They're running they will be bringing online now a significant number of cruise ships, huge cruise ships, in fact, and that is why they are going to create a special destination, not just Freeport and New Providence, but one of the islands.
And despite the company's challenge in returning a profit with the Grand Lucayan Resort, the recent success by Memories Resort in increasing airlift has now encouraged them to also expand their hotel investment.
Hutchison has decided to open another hotel that was mothballed, the Lighthouse Club, where they are bringing in line 200 rooms, additional rooms, and they should have them open for the winter season, so sometime in November, December. And that again represents a commitment that recognizes that we're doing something right in Grand Bahama.
Talks are also on the way for a possible public-private partnership to upgrade the domestic and non-U.S. section of the Grand Bahama Airport. As to the future structure of Grand Bahama, Prime Minister Christie says some interesting developments are on the way. We'll have that for you in a later report. Reporting to you from London, Clint Watson, ZNS Network News.
The murder trial of accused murderer 55-year-old Donna Facili was adjourned this morning as the court is still trying to determine who the next witness will be. Facili is accused of stabbing her husband in their Old Fort Bay home in March of this year. The matter was adjourned until Monday at 2:30 p.m.
2 men are hospitalized this evening, one in serious condition after being shot at by a suspect who himself is in stable condition following a shootout with a police officer. Police say the resident was shot in the back by a man in the area of John Chipman Street and Two-Shot Corner around 1 o'clock this afternoon. A little while later, an officer was in the area and saw the suspect running towards him with a handgun. The officer told the suspect to drop the weapon, but the suspect refused to do so and instead pointed it at the officer. The officer, in fear of his life and for the safety of residents in the immediate area, fired at the suspect, shooting him in the leg. The suspect dropped his weapon and ran away. The officer gave chase, caught the suspect a short distance away. Police recovered a .45 pistol from the scene. The suspect is detained in stable condition under heavy police guard. The other man, again, is detained in serious condition.
Still on crime news, investigations continue into a fatal shooting early this morning. The incident took place in the McCullough Corner area around 2:30. That's when police say the driver of a Toyota Corolla was stopped by a group of men who fired shots at him. He was reportedly hit to the shoulder, but as he attempted to get away, he lost control of the car and ran into a wall. Police are seeking your help in finding the culprits responsible for this crime.
The Royal Bahamas Defense Force has managed to increase its apprehension of illegal immigrants entering the country. But as they begin to use different means to get around the system, Acting Commodore Captain Tellis Bethel says the Royal Bahamas Defense Force must stay on top and on alert. The Defense Force has received 5 of 9 patrol vessels ordered to increase its patrol capabilities, with the remaining 4 smaller crafts expected to arrive by June 2016. Bethel says the new fleet allows officers to cover a wider span of the nation's waters in a shorter time, but illegals are starting to move away from their traditional mode of travel.
We have had less of the migrant smuggling using wooden sailing sloops. That has slowed somewhat, but yet we have to begin to examine whether the routes that we are blocking are being avoided and to ensure that there are no new routes that are being taken. Also, we have to look at what alternative measures or means migrants may be using.
Bethel says the vessels have been a tremendous aid as the force has been working with an aging fleet. There was also strain on them.
We were at a point where our 2 large Bahama-class vessels were really affected in terms of requiring maintenance, and we put a lot of extra work on the smaller vessels, and they were beginning to be affected as well. But now with the arrival of the Sandy Bottom patrol craft, we now are able to attend to the refitting the Bahama-class vessels as well as repairing the smaller vessels. And so these vessels will come just in time and to do what I call hold the line.
Figuring out what you want to do is not always the easiest thing to do when you start university, but COB made it a little bit easier for its students today as it held a Sept Career Symposium. We have all the details, so stay tuned.
The automation process here at the Road Traffic Department is one step closer to its completion. I'm Carla Palmer. I'll have this story coming up in the Bahamas tonight.
This portion of the news is brought to you by the new Shell and Letty, designed for extra miles.